You think you know where your money goes, you don't. That's not an insult, that's a documented fact. A survey by the National Endowment for Financial Education found that over 60% of Americans cannot accurately estimate what they spent last month within even a $500 margin. Not $50. $500. And these aren't people who don't care about money. These are people who genuinely believe they're being careful, people who check their balance regularly. People who feel guilty after big purchases, people who have thought about budgeting more times than they can count, and yet the wealth isn't growing. So here's the first question this video is built to answer. If you're working, earning, and trying to be responsible with your money, why is your financial life still not moving forward? I spent an entire year trying to find the answer, 365 days. I tracked every single dollar that left my account, every coffee, every forgotten subscription. Every small purchase I told myself was too minor to matter, every convenience fee, every impulse add-on at checkout, every treat-yourself moment after a hard week. What I found wasn't what I expected. It wasn't one big obvious mistake. It wasn't a single bad habit I could simply stop. It was something quieter, something more structural. Something most financial content never touches because it isn't dramatic enough to build a video around. But it is the actual reason most people never build the wealth they're capable of building. By the end of this video, you're going to see it, and once you see it, you cannot unsee it. Stay with me because the answer to why your wealth isn't growing is buried inside a question most people never think to ask. Part 1. Why does tracking feel like it should work but doesn't? Everyone has heard the advice. Budget your money, track your spending, know your numbers. It sounds simple, it sounds logical, so why doesn't it actually move the needle for most people? Here's the real question worth asking. Is the problem the tracking itself, or is it what people are actually looking for when they do it? Most people open a budgeting app looking for the obvious leak. The vacation they probably shouldn't have taken. The expensive dinner that felt justified at the time. The impulse buy they already half regret. They find it, feel a wave of guilt, promise themselves they'll do better next month and close the app. They repeat this cycle for years. And nothing fundamentally changes. That approach misses the actual problem entirely. When I started tracking in January, I assumed I'd find one or two categories where I was overspending. I'd cut them, redirect the money, and be done with it. What I actually found was not a category problem, it was a pattern problem. Not a single leak, a system of leaks so consistent, so automatic, and so completely invisible to my conscious awareness that calling them mistakes felt inaccurate. They weren't mistakes. They were behaviors I had never once examined because I never had a reason to. That leads to the more important question. What is actually destroying your wealth, a decision you made or a system you never noticed was running? Part 2. What does a year of tracking actually reveal? By month 3, I stopped looking for the largest single purchase and started looking at something entirely different. Frequency. Here's what I mean by that. A $6 coffee doesn't feel like a wealth destroyer. Neither does a $15 subscription you use sometimes. Or the $9 add-on during checkout that appeared before the confirm button, or the $22 convenience fee you paid because you hadn't planned ahead. None of those numbers feel dangerous individually. Each one in the moment feels like a reasonable, minor, completely forgettable decision. But here's the question that reframed everything I was looking at. What happens when you multiply a small number by 365? $6 every weekday morning is $1,560 per year. A $15 subscription renewed across 12 months is $180 that left your account without you making a single conscious decision in the moment it was charged. Those $22 convenience fees, even just twice a week, are $2,288 annually. A delivery fee here, a processing fee there, a small upgrade that auto-renewed from a trial you forgot about. Add it together. None of these broke the budget individually. Together, across 1 year, they consumed over $4,000 that I genuinely believed I was being careful about. But this still is not the real answer, because cutting coffee and canceling subscriptions is not a wealth strategy. That's just discomfort with no clear destination. It makes you feel productive without producing anything lasting. So what's the actual question beneath all of this? Not where is the money going, deeper than that. The question is this: what is the money not doing and what does that cost you over time? Part 3. What is the true cost of low attention spending? Here's a number most people never calculate. Not because it's complicated, because it's uncomfortable. Every dollar you spend unconsciously is a dollar that never compounds. And because of the mathematics of compounding, the true cost of that dollar is not $1. The true cost is everything that dollar could have grown into over the next 10, 20, or 30 years. Run the actual numbers. If you redirected that $4,000 per year in low attention spending into a broad market index fund earning a conservative 8% annually, this is what happens. In 10 years, that's roughly $62,000. In 20 years, it's over $197,000. In 30 years, it approaches $490,000, nearly $500,000, not from earning more. Not from finding some secret investment. Just from redirecting money you were already earning, already spending, into a place where it could grow instead of disappear. Now the next question becomes unavoidable. If the money was always there, why didn't the wealth follow? Part 4. Why does money always disappear before it can work? This is the part of the tracking experiment that genuinely surprised me most. I went in expecting to find that I was spending too much. What I found instead was that money was leaving before I ever made a conscious decision about it. Before I opened my eyes in the morning, before I had any intention about what that day would cost. Here's the data behind what I experienced. Research from the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau shows the average American carries between 8 and 12 active recurring charges at any given time. When those same people are asked directly to name their subscriptions, most can only identify 3 or 4 of them. The rest are invisible, automatic. Processing in the background of a financial life that believes it's being managed. Subscriptions are just one category. Layer in auto-renewals for software and services. Free trials that silently converted months ago. Insurance premiums that quietly increase each renewal period without requiring you to reapprove the new amount. Platform fees, delivery minimums. Membership dues you signed up for during a promotional offer and never canceled. None of these required a decision on the day the charge hit. They were all set up once, forgotten, and left to run indefinitely. By month 6 of my tracking year, I had given this a name. I called it ghost spending. Money that was leaving the account on autopilot, attached to decisions I had made months or years earlier and completely stopped thinking about. Over the full year, I calculated over $3,200 in ghost spending. Not money I chose to spend that day. Money that was already committed before the morning started. And this is where the question gets genuinely uncomfortable. If spending is automatic, what does that tell us about saving? Part 5. What happens when saving is a decision but spending is a system? This is the core of everything. Most people treat saving as something you do with whatever is left at the end of the month. You earn income, you move through the month spending on what comes up, and then, if anything survives to the end, you save it. Sometimes you do, often you don't. Month after month, year after year. This is not a wealth-building system. It is hope operating as a strategy. And hope is not a system. The problem is not discipline. Discipline is being asked to compete against architecture. And in that competition, discipline loses. Not sometimes, consistently, predictably, over long periods of time. A 2018 study from the National Bureau of Economic Research demonstrated this directly. Employees who were automatically enrolled in employer retirement plans had dramatically higher contribution rates compared to employees who had to actively opt in, even when the plans offered were completely identical. Same employer, same fund options, same match percentage. The only variable was whether contributing required an action or whether not contributing did. Apply that to your financial life right now. Your subscriptions renew without you lifting a finger. Your recurring charges process the moment the billing date arrives. Your convenience fees are baked into the checkout flow before you can think twice. But your investment account, that requires you to log in, check how the market looks, decide how much you can afford this month, and manually confirm the transfer. On a day when your account balance is lower than expected, you might skip it. When the market is volatile, you might pause it. When something unexpected comes up, it's the first thing that gets postponed. One of those is a system. The other is a wish dressed up as an intention. So the real question is not how do I spend less. The real question is, how do I make building wealth as automatic as destroying it currently is? Part 6. What does the system that actually works look like? Here is what 365 days of tracking taught me to build instead. Step 1. Run a ghost spending audit. Pull up every recurring charge across every bank account, credit card, and digital wallet for the last 90 days. Write them down. Every charge you cannot immediately justify with a conscious, current decision gets canceled or flagged for review. Most people who do this for the first time find between $100 and $300 per month They were not aware they were paying. That is $1,200 to $3,600 per year sitting in services you have forgotten you own. Step 2. Automate the investment before the spending begins. Set up an automatic transfer to your investment account on the same day your paycheck deposits, not after bills. Not after you've bought groceries and figured out what's left first. Treat this transfer the same way you treat rent, non-negotiable, not subject to how the market looks that morning, not optional when the month feels tight. It processes automatically because you set up the system, not because you made a disciplined choice under pressure. Step 3. Replace your budget with a spending buffer. A detailed budget requires constant tracking, frequent decisions, and ongoing guilt management. A buffer is simpler and more durable. After automated savings and fixed expenses clear, whatever remains is your discretionary pool. You can spend it on whatever you want. No categories, no tracking every line item, no shame spiral over a dinner that cost more than planned. The wealth building already happened before you touch this money. The rest is genuinely yours. Step 4. Do a quarterly review instead of daily monitoring. Checking your portfolio every day creates anxiety without producing proportional insight. A quarterly review is enough to catch drift before it compounds into damage, and keeps your system calibrated without consuming the mental energy you need for everything else. Part 7. What is the real answer? We opened with one question: why is your wealth not growing even when you're trying? Here is the complete answer. It is not because you are overspending on obvious things. It is because the invisible layer of your financial life, the automatic, unconscious, never reviewed layer, is quietly consuming thousands of dollars per year before you make a single intentional decision. It is not a discipline problem. Discipline is being asked to fight a system, and systems always win over sustained time. The people who build meaningful wealth on average incomes are not more self-controlled than everyone else. They are not more motivated. They built different architecture. They made wealth building automatic and spending deliberate, the exact inverse of how most financial lives are currently structured, by accident, through years of unconsidered defaults. 365 days of tracking didn't reveal that I was careless. It revealed that I had accidentally built a machine optimized entirely for spending, and was spending enormous mental energy trying to manually override it towards saving every single month. The moment I saw that clearly, the fix stopped being about trying harder. It became about building differently. The question was never just where does the money go? The question was always, who designed the system your money is moving through, and did you build it on purpose? Now you have the answer. The only question remaining is what you do with it today. If you want to see exactly how to build your investment system from scratch, what to put your money into, how much to start with, and how to make the whole thing completely automatic, watch the next video on screen. And subscribe so you don't miss what comes next. Just a reminder, I'm not a financial advisor. This video is for educational purposes only, and any results depend on your own decisions and actions.